Hello, I am Daisy, and thank you so much for joining me. Hopefully you're enjoying this tutorial on how to read the major arcanas. And so we are now finding out what the Fool has been doing, who he has been talking on his road to enlightenment. He had just finished speaking with whom? But the Hierophant. And from there received a lot of good wisdom and spirituality and spiritual knowledge and kind of a little bit more sense of being a part of society, of being a part of the world, and all this connection that he has made. So now as he continues his journey, who he comes across but the lovers. And all this is as he's on his way towards enlightenment. So what happens here, and how do we interpret this particular card? So what we have here, as I said, we see all the elements, and we're going to start off with the first thing that we see, which is a number on this deck. And the number on the deck here is the number 6. And I'm showing both decks so that you can kind of have one to refer in case I move my hands around too much with this. But here's an idea of why it's important to make sure that you're kind of paying attention to the decks that you are purchasing. And this one is a very simplistic, this is from the Everyday Tarot, very simple, very monocolor. The colors here are gold, white, and purple. And so if you're a person that loves to see lots of colors to be able to, help get more knowledge and information for your querent, it's really may not be the kind of deck that you want. But this happens to be my traveling deck, so it's really about being able to get the information that I need. And usually when you've been doing it for a while, this is really about being able to work with the energy that's with your client. Okay, so now that I've shown this, and again, that's still to share with you the importance to understand when you're buying these decks, to really understand that they're all different. They're all subtly different. There's a lot of subtle differences. Okay, so now we've got the number. So we've talked about the number 6. That's the first thing, and the number 6 represents unconditional love. Talks about family. Talks about this balance and domesticity and humanitarianism. I mean, think about it. These people are exposed. They're naked, bare to the world. Just say, take me as I am, and very vulnerable and open to that vulnerability. So we see that right from the get-go. But with the number 6, that's part of what the vibration of the number 6 is. It's about, unconditional love. It's about family. It's about self-sacrifice. So a lot of things are going on when we see this number. And what is being asked of the Fool, who started with all this carefree attitude on his journey, and now there's so much that he's learning, and self-sacrifice, the love, for someone else, and the things that we give up, because we want to be a part of this person's life and be engaging in that. So the other thing that we see on here, very impressive, right? The beautiful angel that we see from above, right? Very beautiful, very majestic, very impressive. What we're seeing here is this divine guidance. We're seeing that this is the super consciousness and helping to attain that balance of body and mind. And the other thing is the magnificent sun behind that angel. Let's not forget that, because that's from heaven, from the celestial bodies, enlightening not only the lovers, but also the angels. So all of this has this divine aura of protection, this, universal wisdom being permeated into these beings and into this relationship. So that's the other thing we see. Then the most obvious, obviously, is the couple. We see them, as I mentioned earlier, that they're naked, they're nude, they're bare, and in that's what they're expressing. They're expressing that they're vulnerable and that they have nothing to hide, that their love is pure, and that's what they're showing here. And so that's the beginning thing. I want to use my other deck too, so you have it up here for reference, but I just kind of want to make sure it's showing similarities and differences. Okay, so some of the other associations that some of the other symbols that we see here, we see the two trees. And do you remember earlier we had, so this theme of this balance is very predominant again, and usually it seems to be coming when we need to seek that higher, connection with the heavens, and we saw it with the priestess, and then we saw it again with just recently with the Hierophant. And so we see a theme, a very similar to theme of columns, because of the two trees that we have here. The two trees are quite different, because we see here there's a tree here with fruit, and then we have a tree here with flame, right? And so with that, what we're seeing being represented there is with the tree of flame, we're seeing passion of our will, and then with the tree of fruit, we see fertile ideas that, are being provided and that we can work with to help us balance between the mind and the body. Okay? So then we see that there is a serpent on the tree of fruit, taking us all the way back to biblical associations, back to the Garden of Eden, about making those choices, about temptation, and that while we should strive to access this knowledge, but we need to be very careful on how we're going to use that knowledge, that it is not for personal gain, but it is, for, how we're going to use it to make sure that we are uniting and not dividing. So basically, and then there's one more thing that stands out here, is the mountain that's in between both of the figure here, representing the thing that we're trying to achieve. This mountain is the struggle for enlightenment, and that we must come together to get to that destination. So now we're going to do a reading. How do we make these associations? And just for quickly, the card, the Lover card, is usually associated with the zodiac Gemini. So that gives us a time frame if we're trying to establish a time, that if it's associated with Gemini, it's a couple things. It's an air sign, and number two, the month and period would be between May and June if something of time reference needs to be made. Okay, what else can we see? Well, we're going to do a reading, and let's just what would the associations be? What would that sound like if we are doing a reading for someone? Well, there's the sense of duality. So, what's the issue here in trying to make this decision? Is it a struggle? And, can you come up with, something that's going to be fair for both? Because we have a sense of opposites, and we're not, is there a sense that you can't get to that agreement? But what would be the middle ground, and how would you be able to get to that? Also, it talks about partnerships. This could be that now there's an opportunity coming in where you need to come together in this as a partnership. It could also mean that you're, going to be involved intimately with someone, and that is also showing up in this card. And because of the bareness of, how they're standing there without any clothing, it's about being open in your communication, open with your emotions and your feelings. And it is also about self-discovery, and also about understanding that there are divine rules, and that God has some rules in order, and about discovering what they are. So very, very lot of very good information that could be obtained when you're doing the reading upright. So what would that reading sound like if it was upside down? Well, immediately that you're disconnected, that something is not making there's poor communication happening here in this relationship. It could also mean that your lack of self-love, and that there's like a sense of dishonesty and disharmony. So pretty much almost definitely the opposite, that this is not working, that people are not coming forward with, the real feelings. And so you see that, it's not jiving. Okay, so I wonder now what's going to happen with our Fool. as he begins his journey onward. And who is he going to come across next? Well, thank you for joining me. Go to the next video to learn more.